Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, students, teachers. My name is Sissi Stahlecker, and before we start discussing anything, I would like to start with a quick story. A man, Oskar Schindler. At the beginning, he was greedy, ambitious, feared. But after witnessing something, he became a completely different man. A completely different man. Deep down, there is an ideal version of how we want to represent ourselves. But sometimes, it takes time to find that true self. It might not even come after a whole life of exploration. Now, back to the example. Oskar Schindler eventually found his true self when he witnessed firsthand the torture and the murder of the Jews. That's when he quickly began hiring Jews at his own factory. By finding his true self, Oskar is accredited with saving the lives of more than 1,200 Jews during World War II. So, what is true self though? True self is when you are naturally and spontaneously living as a genuine human being. In other words, you are not trying to love someone. You are just loving without even thinking about it. I usually detest talking about personal memories, but I would like to say a little something of my own. I have a very normal and loving family. And luckily, in 4th grade, I had the opportunity to transfer to an international school. Now, before I went there, everyone kept telling me how only the rich, the privileged, and how high-status people go to these schools. So my first priority when I got there was to satisfy them and get everyone around me to like me. I fake laughed when they made boring jokes and let them make all the decisions. I did what they said. I said what they said, and I wore what they wore. However, during so many of those moments, that was not me. I pretended to be one of them. Anyways, that was just one aspect of it. The true emotion was more like you standing in a circle, but that circle can get smaller, leaving you on the outside without making any difference. Although I might have walked with them, laughed with them, played with them, I didn't feel like me. I felt different. My change came one day when a lead teacher told me, "Sissi, would you like to hold a speech in front of the whole school?" Obviously, I said yes. But even until now, I didn't know why I was picked. But that speech was life-changing for me. I stood under the spotlight for over 5 minutes. And instead of me listening to others, others listened to me. It was a different kind of feeling. It was like coming out of a shell. It was like being invited into that circle again. But this time, people inviting you to enter. It was that feeling that I knew I found my true self. Later that year, I became a straight A student. But before that, I walked quickly and avoided eye contact. But now, I walk slowly and say hi to people. There, I knew I found my true self. By the way, I stopped fake laughing. And by the way, I love all the Chinese jokes you guys make. And the Chinese words like 比亏了, bum, and thank you. And I love how you guys swear in Chinese. But I'm not going to swear on stage, of course. But what I realized after that event was that true self won't come automatically. You can only move closer to your true self. You must interact with our society, whether those are bad, painful, or frustrating moments. But I also realized that there is a reason why you can't automatically become your true self. There is a barrier. What is that barrier? That barrier is stereotypes. What are stereotypes? Many of you know, but the definition is here. Stereotypes are a widely held but fixed and oversimplified image or idea of a particular type of person or thing. They play an important part where we find our true self. For me, stereotypes can be categorized into two sections: good stereotypes and bad stereotypes. Let's start with good stereotypes. Quick example. I don't look like a typical Chinese student. And before I came here, I never ever knew that I was good at English. But I feel like since I've came here, people have been associating me with being good at English because I had an international background and I had brown hair. Although that is not true, but it was because of that good stereotype that I strived to be good at it, to live up to those expectations and become a better self. Next up, we have the bad stereotypes. For example, when I was in middle school, I was in a way introverted. I was super organized and what people call a teacher's pet. However, because of those bad stereotypes, even though I wanted to tell others I can be exuberant, I can be extroverted too, it was hard for others to imagine that I had another personality. But the point I'm making here is that stereotypes often control aspects of our life that we might be unaware of. They make us reflect on our past selves, and stereotypes become a great part of our identity. These reflections allow us to challenge and interact with our society, yet it's also a way for us to understand the social norms. But how do we face these stereotypes? Although what I'm saying might be super easy to accomplish, the reality is a lot different. But here's a way of helping you to achieve your true self. Jane Marcia's 4 identity statuses. Zooming in, there are 4 specific stages you'll encounter during your path to finding your true self. On the bottom left, we have the identity foreclosure stage. This is when both our exploration and commitment to a particular subject is low. For example, in 10th grade, you might have no idea what to do and what to major in the future. But this is very normal. Next up, we have the identity moratorium stage. This is where we are actively exploring different hobbies, even though we have a low commitment. This is when you try out different hobbies, for example, MUN, Frisbee, economics, biology, computer science, even though our commitment is low. Next up, we have the identity diffusion stage. This is where we are focusing and diving deeper into a particular subject. For example, let's say you love chemistry. This is where you dive down and focus really on that particular subject of chemistry. The ideal location of where you ultimately want to be is the identity achievement stage. This is where your commitment perfectly correlates to your interest. And accordingly, you want prizes and awards for it. Especially under all these stereotypes, to find your true self, you want to follow this MA process of moratorium, achievement, moratorium, achievement, where you interact with society, gain achievement, and interact again. But again, the point I'm making here is that interactions with our society are crucially important. Embrace those feedback given by society, even though if they're positive or negative, embrace them. Confucius once referred the harmonious state, once referred perfect peace as the harmonious state. This is when how you represent yourself perfectly correlates with the ideals of what the society needs. In other words, when you're interacting, the society will give you a response informing you how your changed behaviors are being accepted. Right. Interactions, you might think, they have to come from big events. But actually, it's the small interactions that truly make a difference. For example, during the summer holiday, I was in Germany, and I saw this one picture frame in my grandparents' house. It says, "Es sind meist die kleinen Dinge, die das Leben bunt und lebenswert machen." Translates to English, it means it's usually the small events that makes life truly colorful and valuable. Let's explore the small things around us. Everyone staying awake during class. No one sleeping. My beautiful lunch. It's not school lunch, it's takeaway. The always working school Wi-Fi. Always. Our not creepy at all dormitory teacher. And the not time-consuming at all annotations of Frankenstein or Einstein. But also, small interactions would come from, for example, my beautiful dormitory photos. Waking up with ACT or SAT or TOEFL. Getting free food from your parents, your friends, your teachers, and also simply when the teacher says, you can submit your homework tomorrow. But how does getting fun from these small interactions, really contribute to becoming our true self? In psychology, there is a term called flow. What is flow? Flow is a way of coping with stress and anxiety through a form of leisure. But how does that again correlate to becoming your true self? When you have fun, you gain satisfaction. And when you gain satisfaction, you become more relaxed. And when you become more relaxed, you move closer to your true self and enjoy even the hardest moments of life. Before ending my speech, I would like to emphasize something very special and something very, very cool. In the whole of China, there is 26 million high school students. What does this mean? It means that there is exactly 0.003% of us meeting right here, right now. And one last thing. The odds of you being born are 1 in 400 trillion. What does this mean again? It means that each and every one of you are a miracle and a huge winner the day you were born. Remember to embrace your stereotype and interact with our society. Although there are 7.888 billion people on Earth, there's only one you. Thank you.